What's going on, guys? The trailer for the new set just dropped featuring Dialga EX and Palkia EX. And I wanted to get some early deck lists for you guys to try out when the set drops. Up on deck list number 1, we have a more metal focused build. Dialga for just 2 energy is able to do 30 damage and provide 2 metal energies to one of his bench Pokemon. Melmetal was always suffering on producing energy, but now that we have Dialga, we have some metal love. So Melmetal is able to do his heavy impact for 120 damage plus his hard coat ability. So now we have a reliable way for Melmetal to actually ramp up and do his constant 120 damage earlier. And since it does not specify that we need to provide metal energy to a metal Pokemon, we are also running Mew EX because of that genome hacking. We also run 2 Geo just in case we need more damage for our Melmetal to finish off other Pokemon for 130 damage. And we run 2 Sabrina since we do need to stall a little bit, since Dialga does require 2 energy to start doing his ramping. Once we have everything charged up, we do run the 2 Leaf to get our Dialga out of there, or if we need to swap out the Mew or the Melmetal, whichever the case it may be. And to keep our Pokemon alive, we run the double potion as well. Up on deck number 2, we still have Dialga EX because, like I said, he's able to provide 2 energy to anything. So you guys already knew the Pidgeot EX deck was gonna be included. Any colorless Pokemon will benefit from this Dialga Turbo. And of course, we play the 1 Mew because we can use genome hacking as well. The 1 Geo just to get extra damage, and the 1 Serena just in case we needed to stall or win the game. And we play the 1 Pokemon Flute for our Pidgeot EX to consistently do high damage. The 1 X speed is just there to retreat our Mew or our Pidgeot if we need to, and the 1 potion just to stay alive longer. Up on deck number 3, we have another Dialga EX build, but this one is different because now we are running Tauros. As I mentioned earlier, any colorless deck is gonna benefit from this Dialga EX attack. Tauros would be the way we counter other EX decks, and Mew will serve as our backup in this case. It's also worth noting that this deck does not play any stage 1 or 2 Pokemon, therefore we can just play the Dialga, play the Tauros, and play the Mew without having to search for more evolutions, which is why we're able to run a lot of trainer cards such as Sabrina, our Giovanni's, our Leaves, our X speeds, our potions, and the 1 blue. See, I'm doing the blue pose right now. Up on number 4, we do have Palkia EX, and I gotta say, they did my boy Palkia a little dirty. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Palkia is able to do, he's a little faster. He's able to do slash for 30. Yes, it's a little faster. And he's able to do more damage. He's able to do 150 damage with that Dimensional Storm, which is good. 150 is like Mew, right? But Mew has a consistent ramper to constantly keep doing that 150 damage. Palkia is relying off of a really, really big Misty Flip. That's literally what he's relying off of. But he can do 20 damage to the bench Pokemon, which is why we run Greninja. Greninja can snipe and weaken Pokemon and maybe get you a double knockout. And since Palkia is a little bit slower, he's more like a Gyarados and a Mewtwo deck, or a Charizard maybe. He's just a really slow card, so that is why we have to run Druddigon, sadly. I know we're tired of Druddigon. Druddigon's everywhere yet, but we don't know the rest of the set. There might be more ramp cards. I don't know yet. But as of now, we have to run Druddigon because this deck is really, really slow. Unless you get like a 8 Misty Coin Flippers, some crazy thing like that. And of course, we run the double leaf just to retreat our Druddigon and Giovanni for the extra damage. Maybe, I don't know, the Mewtwo player runs blue and then you have to use Giovanni to counter that blue. And we run the Sabrina just to steal the game, or just to play with the numbers. Maybe you want to swap out the Pokemon that has 20 HP back to the, say he's in the active spot, you can put it in the back and then sweep the new Pokemon and then get a double knockout basically. Up on deck number 5, we have something spicy. We have my boy Lucario. Lucario is able to grant 20 extra damage to your fighting type Pokemon, only to the active spot. So You're probably wondering, why are we running Hitmonlee? Well, Sneaky Lee, that's what we're gonna call him now. We're gonna call him Sneaky Lee. Sneaky Lee is just a really good tech. He can be splashed in any fighting deck for just a one of, just to kick the fish. You guys know what I'm talking about, or any other stall decks. You can just kick the bench. Also, if you see those 2 blank spots right there in the deck list, that is because we do not know what Riolu looks like, his basic Pokemon. So that empty spot is basically Riolu. This deck is supposed to be more aggro. That's why I'm playing the Mankey and the Primape, the one that only does 50 damage for 1 energy. You can mess around with the Mankeys. You can play the one that's a coin flip for 50 damage, or you can play the other one that hurts itself for 30 damage. That's up to you, but I'm playing the more consistent one. It doesn't really matter. It's just more like a showing, and you guys can decide which version. Maybe you want to play the other Primeape that gets 100 damage when it's injured, basically. It's all up to you guys. But we also run the one Marshadow because Marshadow is just a good card. He can do 120 damage. We run double X speed because most of our Pokemon only require 1 retreat cost. The only one that doesn't would be Lucario. That's why we play the 1 leaf for Lucario only, or if we could play it for any of the Pokemon basically. And we run, since this deck is super aggro, I meant for it to be super aggro, we have the double Giovanni for that extra damage. You're basically just playing a Blaine because Blaine does 30 damage, but Lucario gives 20, Geo gives 10, so that's 30. And then we play the one Sabrina because we can. Moving on to deck number 6, we still have another Lucario deck. But this time we have Aerodactyl EX. Aerodactyl is only able to do 80 damage, but with Lucario's ability, giving it plus 20, it can now do 100 damage. And yes, we're still playing the Primeape. Primeape is such an aggro card, especially the 50 turns into 70. That's crazy. We have to play the Primeape. And then obviously the one Sneaky Lee, of course. The same ratios apply with the double X speed and the leaf. It's just basically we swapped out some ratios for the Aerodactyl EX version. Up on deck number 7, we have more of a spicy deck list. This is more or less the fun one that I built. It is a fossil version. We're bringing back Kabutops. The reason why it does work is because Kabutops heals for how much damage he has done. So he does 50 raw, but with Lucario, he's healing 70. He's literally healing half his HP every single turn. And you can even combo this with Giovanni, which will heal for 80 for that turn, not every single turn. So the only basic Pokemon we would play would be double Riolu. You can play double Riolu just to consistently have that evolution line of Lucario every single starting hand. But we are playing the one Sneaky Lee because Sneaky Lee will always be a one of in any fighting deck, I think. But if you really wanted to just start off with Riolu and get the Lucario engine going, you can just take off Sneaky Lee and put anything else that you want, like another Giovanni or Sabrina. Up on deck number 8, we have the new Pachirisu. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I could never say his name right when I was a kid. Pachirisu EX deck. So Pachirisu does 40 damage plus another 40 if it has a Pokemon tool attached to it. If you were wondering why there's 2 empty spaces, I don't know what the Pokemon tools we're going to get, so I just put 2 as the ratio. If you're wondering why there's 2 empty spaces, I don't know what kind of Pokemon tools we're going to get so far. That is why I just put 2 empty spaces for that ratio. Maybe we'll get a lot more, maybe we'll just get 1. If that was the case, we would just change up the ratios between the potions and the Giovannis and the Sabrinas depending on the playstyle. But for now, we're just doing 2. And yes, the best electric Pokemon is still out there, Pikachu EX. That is why we still have to play a lot of basic Pokemon. But what is interesting about this version of the deck is that we can play a bunch of basic Pokemon. There's no more need for evolutions. You just play a bunch of EX Pokemon. And I'm just playing the one Electabuzz because Pikachu wants to see bench Pokemon. So the typical deck plays like 6 or 7 bench Pokemon. Maybe 8, I don't know. And I couldn't think of anything else that was a good basic Pokemon besides Electabuzz because sniping a Pokemon is still useful. And of course, we just play the 2x speed because everything is 1 retreat cost. And then we have our potions because we don't know what the X tools are. So we might as well just keep our Pokemon alive. And then I said X tools, I mean Pokemon tools. And then we have the Giovannis for the extra damage, and then Sabrina. Lastly, we have the Cresselia deck for deck number 9. For this build, I was going more towards the Alakazam and Gengar style, except that Cresselia does not need evolutions. That is why we play 2. Cresselia for just 2 energy is able to do 50 damage and heal 20 to itself. We play the 1 Gardevoir line to start ramping up our Cresselia or our Mew EX. Mew EX is able to serve as our backup and is a psychic type, so he actually fits in this deck. Since we are playing Mythical Slab to see our engine and our pieces going, that's why we also play the Porygon so we can data scan and reliably hit our targets with that Mythical Slab. We play the 2 Leaf and the 1 Giovanni and the 1 Sabrina. And to keep our Cresselia alive with the healing effect, we also run double potion. However, now that I'm thinking about it, we could take off the potion and maybe 1 Sabrina or 1 Geo for another copy of the full Gardevoir line, because if we're playing 1, we might as well just play the full line. That's what I'm thinking of. Or 1 routes, 2 Curlia, and 2 Gardevoir. That way, our Mythical Slabs hit the targets for Psychics more often than we expected. But that is it, guys. These are the decks I was able to come up with. I was trying to come up with Honchkrow, but honestly, Dark types kind of suck for that sniping aspect. There is a Honchkrow, and it's literally Lumineon, but a dark version. And since we don't have the evolution lines for Piplup, Chimchar, and Turtwig, I cannot make a list for that as well. And we don't fully know what Leafeon does, so I can't really make a deck on Leafeon either. But in the short span of time, that is what I was able to cook up. If you guys have any other deck recommendations, please let me know down in the comments below, because I would love to hear any new decks that you guys can come up with. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. It really helps me out, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. Am I pointing at the right camera? Right here. There it is. We're almost at 500 subscribers, boys and girls. I will be doing a giveaway for that. I will be giving out the gold pass, as I mentioned. I will do a poll when I hit 500. So if you aren't subscribed yet, please subscribe if you guys want to participate in that. But it's also worth noting, you do not have to be subscribed to the channel to participate. I just need to hit 500 to actually do the thing. But anyways, guys, that's it for me. I'll see you guys on the next one.